Hello, everybody. We're dealing today with temptations and the enticements of the world. Today is day 67, reading from Numbers 31 and 32. This becomes the final assignment of Moses. Now, consider it if you were told by God, hey, today's the day. I got the last thing for you to do, and then it's going to be time for you to die. Well, 12,000 armed men assigned from 1,000 from each of the tribes, an assignment to go and destroy the enemy. There's going with the holy articles and the trumpets representing the very presence of God, and they're going to make war with the Midianites. Now, notice that these enemies, they kill all of the men and Balaam. Now, that's going to be significant that you see that Balaam is included in that. They're the ones who led the Israelites into idolatry. They burn the cities and they bring the women and the children and they plunder the camp. And later we recognize that they distribute it equally amongst all the tribes of Israel. Moses is not happy because they did not kill all the women. Now, this seems very harsh as we look at innocent women, supposedly, that are now being killed. And so, but wait, when we look deeper into this, Moses identifies the source of this previous failure with the Israelites, the Council of Balaam. We find that referenced in the 31st chapter in verse 16. The Council of Balaam. Here we find the source of this false prophet who initiated a means by which he could possibly get the disfavor of God upon the Israelites and then curse Israel and then receive this reward from King Balak. The women prompted idolatry, and the women were the primary cause of this incident. So the widows will likely seek out new husbands, these women that they brought back, and become a stumbling block once again and potentially seduce the camp of Israel, which would create the same problems all over again. Now, they were to keep the young virgins, which really means young women and girls. And the reason being is that these young ladies could be absorbed into the community and reformed, and they could be trained to live in the right ways of God. Now remember, Midian in the wilderness is a type of the world. When we look at these kind of things in the Bible, we see references that give us a glimpse of their application to us today. So Midian, a type of the world, and the Bible tells us that the Christian is to be separated from the world. You find this in Galatians chapter 6 and the 14th verse, and 1 John chapter 2, verse 15 through 17. John Owen said, be killing sin or it be killing you. This is an ongoing assignment that you and I have because we, like the Israelites, have enemies. And we have to make sure that we are constantly putting to death the works of the flesh and the world that we live around us. Do we treat our temptations the way Moses does, like predators to destroy us? Or do we try to tame them and keep them for ourselves like the soldiers did from the tribes of Israel? Now, Reuben and Gad appealed to remain on this side of Jordan. They looked and the land was rich and abundant and fertile, and with all of the cattle, this would be absolutely perfect. So Moses questions them and asks them, is this really fair that they would remain on this side while the rest of Israel goes to the other side? This is not the land that God had promised them. And so they are stopping short of entering into this land flowing with milk and honey. Moses is having flashbacks. And this is the reason he begins to identify and address it. He's fearing history will repeat itself as the 12 spies went over into the land. 10 of them came back with a bad report, and they discouraged the hearts of the people. He reminds them what happened before when the hearts of the Israelites melted, but they promised to keep them, to help them rather, and to cross over and occupy the promised land. So this satisfies Moses. There are questions of wisdom of this, asking for the land on the wrong side of the Jordan. Remember that Jordan is a type of a death and a resurrection. I think as I look at this and ask myself, is this they get so close and they settle for less than God's very best. And that can happen in your life and my life. All the promises that have been given to us, and yet we fail to seize them and receive them into our life. Note that this is the first time that the term half tribe of Manasseh is used.